Hey everybody, welcome back to On the Grid. And in today's video, I was just sitting here reading my daily news, and that pretty much runs the gamut from technology to music to art to gaming, and of course racing, both real world and sim. And it had me thinking of expectations. You know, looking back at 2020, the sim racing world had a lot of growth, but regardless is still small in many aspects compared to other gaming categories like shooters, RPGs, sports, and by sports I'm referring to the likes of FIFA, Madden, and so on. I was browsing some industry stats and I thought I would pop up a couple just to see where racing falls in the bigger picture. So let's take a quick look at a couple of sites that I usually browse to get any kind of statistics that I'm looking for. So WePC is like one of the sites I tend to go visit for stats and things like that. And you can look at regions, the DLC market, platforms, and best games. So let's go down to best games because this is really where I want to look at. What we're going to check out is the genre breakdown. Now, this one is based on the US, but it has been updated. So it is not only for the 2018 stats, it goes up to, I believe, January of 2020. So if we look at it here, these are the main categories: action, shooter, role-playing, sport. We go to the second page: adventure, fighting, racing, strategy, and then other. So let's go back to the first page and we can just look at shooters. 20.9%, action is 26.9%. But if we scroll over here, this is racing. So racing in the US, which is, I'd say, a decent size of the market for the simulation community. There's a huge market in Europe, of course. But if we look at it, it is really only 5.8% of the ratio. Let's be really generous and say even 7%, even if it was 7 or 8%, like fighting and adventure games are still higher ranked than racing. So racing is really quite small. Another website that's good to go to, I usually check out Gaming Scam, and they usually update them fairly often. But if we look here, we can get revenue by country, by region, largest companies. But where we are interested, we're going to scroll all the way down here. So here we see the game industry overview, most popular genres dominating the global gaming market. This is of 2019. I can't imagine there would be anything for 2020 this soon. But obviously, I believe this is still in order. They usually do it in order of popularity. So action, battle royale, sports games, role-playing, fighting, adventure, racing, strategy, action, adventure, and simulation. But if we look down here, this exclusive to the US, but I know Europe obviously has a lot more racing genre. But if we look at it here, we still have about the same thing. So it's about 5.8% market share. So it's really, really quite low. So not to get into any big statistical video, that's not the point of this, but I really just want to show a couple of options. And when we look at these different markets, my personal feeling and why I was thinking about this was because when something new releases into our community, we should really try to embrace it, as imperfect as it may be. And believe me, I would be the first one to raise my hand if I received something that was unfinished, flawed, or broken. And after all, you work for it, you pay for it, so we should expect it to be perfect or near perfect. I'd be on the phone, emailing, or find a resolution, albeit with a very diplomatic approach, because as I've found in 99% of the situations, this is what always got me the best end result, and with a little patience. So you're probably asking, what does this have to do with Automobilista 2? Well, it's not directly related to Automobilista 2 or Reza, but it's really to show that the sim community is not made up of major corporations, but simply small groups of passionate people making things for us to get as virtually close to what we love. And that's racing. So what I want to do is show you what actually got me thinking about this whole thing. So let's roll these credits. And so I hope you have the same reaction as I do, because funny as it is, I always watch the credits in the games and movies and whatever it may be, because I'm genuinely interested to know who did what. And when I ran the credits for Automobilista 2, I had a bit of a jaw drop moment, and it really put things into perspective of just how small this genre is and how small of a team or a company like Razer really is. So for a game with the scope of Automobilista 2, regardless of the Madness engine running underneath, it's still a massive amount of work that goes into creating a game like this. And you look at companies like Kunos and Sector 3, Studio 397, these are all fairly small studios, so I tend to have a bit more patience, and we should have a bit more patience to give them a bit more time to get something right, and so they can realize the vision they have for the game. And in the scope of things, maybe a little bit more patience will go a long way. And as we've seen with many of these sims, over time they've gotten to be really great games and have solid foundations and are, listened to by the community for the most part. And so, in closing, I have quite a few sayings that I go by, but for something relevant to this, I'm going to leave you with one comment. Don't expect much. This way you can accept much. Thanks as always for watching, and until next time, take care.